good news to report on nearly all fronts.
Perch patterns have been working really well.
This week's BuzzBite report.
Just keep snapping it off the bottom.
Auto chart live.
You've got fish doing a number of different things.
See a lot of them?
Oh, yeah!
They are heavy. Look at this giant. How's that?
Today we're talking northern bass fishing, hot angling tactics, and red hot bites from all around the upper Midwest. This is AnglingBuzz TV. I'm Dave Sanda.
I'm Troy Linder.
Joining us later in today's show are BuzzBite reporters in the field with their fishing updates from their area waters.
And today we're talking bass, smallmouth bass and largemouth bass. I get a chance to travel across the country. I fish a lot of tournaments from New York to Tennessee, Texas, and a lot in California. And it's really hard to argue the fact that populations of quality fish, largemouth and smallmouth, 3 to 4 pounders across the upper Midwest is probably the best in the country.
Oh, absolutely, and particularly when you think about those smallmouths, those populations just have exploded in recent years. I mean, we literally have bass up to here. We're not just a walleye area. In fact, why don't we take a quick look at some of the areas and the types of waters where bass are common throughout the upper Midwest. While traditional bass lures and tactics usually work for both species, largemouths and smallmouths live and operate a lot differently. Largemouths tend to dominate in fertile lakes with large amounts of flooded wood cover.
And they come out and crush it.
Or expansive weed growth.
There's a thick. Oh! Whoa!
Good populations of 2.5 to 4.5 pounders are common in many northern waters. The biggest 5 to 6 pounders often live in thick, shallow cover much of the year.
Whew! That's like one of them Florida bass, the way she hit that thing, Jer, huh?
Small natural lakes with minimal fishing pressure are likely your best bets for catching some real whoppers.
That's a big northern bass. They don't come that big in this region too much. It's about, I will probably only catch, 3 or 4 of these throughout the course of the year. That's a big one.
Smallmouth bass tend to thrive in deeper, clear or stained lakes and reservoirs, and make good use of mid-lake sand and rock structures throughout the year.
I'm serious. This is a magnum.
Yeah, look at
That is a magnum brown bass. Woo-wee!
On average, smallies operate almost like a cross between walleyes and largemouths, usually living a little shallower than walleyes and deeper than largemouths. Rivers offer some of the finest, most untapped smallmouth fishing in North America. Smallies are right at home in cool, flowing water compared to largemouths, which tend to favor shallower impoundment areas with cover and less current flow. For numbers of real giants, bays and island clusters of the Great Lakes host the finest trophy smallmouth fisheries on the planet. 5 to 6 pounders are relatively common, and giants are possible. On most waters, both species are just coming off the spawn at this time of year. You'll likely encounter males still guarding the nest and fry, while the larger females are dispersing toward their summer habitat. Predict their movements, and you'll catch fish in the weeks ahead.
Look at the size of that one. Come here, buddy.
Whoa.
And I think the most intriguing thing about bass fishing is you can go to one of these weedy lakes, large or small. You go fish the deep weed line in the summertime with cranks or jigs or worms or a typical bass tactic. You're not only going to catch your largemouths, you're also going to catch panfish and pike, muskies and walleyes, anything that bites. You go bass fishing, you're going to get bit.
Absolutely. And right now, well, it's time for our AnglingBuzz news for this week. As the temperatures heat up across the upper Midwest, so do the extreme weather systems. Each year, a number of anglers get struck by lightning, as well as accidents from giant waves in big water. It's important to pay close attention to these storm systems as they can change directions fast, and having alerts set up on your phone is extremely important.
We're getting out of here. We don't like the look of that weather.
The upper St. Croix River along the Wisconsin and Minnesota border will offer a catch and release sturgeon season for the first time since 1994. Wisconsin DNR and Minnesota DNR both mark lake sturgeon with yellow dangler tags attached at the base of the dorsal fin. These marked fish allow DNR staff to track fish movement and growth. Anglers are encouraged to report all tagged fish to the Wisconsin DNR.
Coming up next, our highlight destination features world-class bass. We're talking the finest smallmouth fisheries all across the upper Midwest, plus the first of our BuzzBite reporters in the field with their fishing updates as Angling Buzz continues.
Lake Winnibigoshish, Big Winnie. Let's go back in time to a real up-north vacation spot, a place where memories are made. Big Winnie is situated in the Chippewa National Forest and gateway to some of Minnesota's finest trophy walleye, pike, perch, untapped bass, and muskie fishing. It's the perfect place for family and friends when you really want to get away. Go to lakewinnie.net to find our little piece of heaven.
High-tech construction, building with old-world craftsmanship. Pride and passion, the same qualities that define high-tech construction go into every project we build. With meticulous attention to detail, our experienced tradesmen bring your floor plan to life. Our unwavering customer service results in a truly satisfying building experience. High-tech construction, where technology meets old-world craftsmanship.
Lake Vermilion. Explore. Relax. Reconnect.
Minnesota's most beautiful lake.
Get hooked on our trophy walleye,
That's a beauty.
bass,
My favorite fish.
musky fish.
That's a beauty there.
Things to do? You'll never get bored.
Rooms with a view? We got 'em.
Lake Vermilion. 4 seasons of fun.
Welcome back to Angling Buzz, and coming up next is our highlight destination feature. We're talking smallmouth bass, and one thing I love about smallmouth is their attitude. They seem to be an angry fish. I've thrown big swim baits for muskies or largemouth, and a smaller smallmouth will just come up and hit it. He can't eat the bait, but I think it's just their attitude. They're just angry.
Yeah, they like to bite, they like to fight, and we have lots of them up here, and they grow big. In fact, why don't we take ourselves a bronzeback tour of the upper Midwest? These are some of the finest smallmouth fisheries on planet Earth. Smallmouth bass abound in lakes, rivers, and reservoirs throughout the upper Midwest. Pollution abatement resulting in cleaner and clearer water, coupled with the popularity of catch and release, has allowed smallmouth populations to explode. Just look at the Missouri River reservoirs in the Dakotas. Nowadays, it's common to encounter hordes of smallmouth bass while fishing for walleyes. Lakes Sharp and Oahe have fabulous populations of 2 to 4 pounders that are barely even fished. In Minnesota, Mille Lacs Lake, in particular, is currently at a peak population level. Huge numbers of big smallmouths, many in the 4 to 6 pound range, roam the lake's numerous shallow rock flats and reefs. It is truly world-class bass fishing at this time. Relatively underfished, yet loaded with big smallmouths, are stretches of the upper Mississippi, Crow Wing, St. Croix, Rum, and other rivers. Small boats, canoes, and kayaks are preferred due to their predominantly shallow, rocky nature.
Oh man, that is awesome.
Wisconsin also offers good smallmouth fishing in rivers like the Menominee, Red Cedar, Flambeau, Black, Chief, Wisconsin, and others. But it is undoubtedly its Great Lakes fisheries that draw most of the attention today, due to their incredible trophy populations and potential. Chequamegon Bay of Lake Superior at Ashland and the greater Green Bay area of Lake Michigan, including the world-famous Door County Peninsula and Sturgeon Bay, host immense schools of monstrous smallmouth bass. Spring tournaments at Sturgeon Bay used to feature 3.5 pounders across the board. Today, they're dominated by 5 and 6 pound bronzebacks, with a few 7s and even the occasional 8 thrown in for good measure. Michigan has the most coastline of any state and hosts an amazing Great Lakes smallmouth fishery as well. From Little and Big Bays to Knock on the north end of Green Bay, to Portage Lake in the Upper Peninsula, to the Grand Traverse Bay area in the northwest corner of the Lower Peninsula, plus Saginaw Bay of Lake Huron, Lake St. Clair, and the extreme western portion of Lake Erie. If you have a fascination for monster smallmouths, and who doesn't, Bays, harbors, rivers, connected lakes, and islands of the Great Lakes are hands down the finest trophy smallmouth bass fisheries on earth. If you want big fish and lots of them, these are the places to go, and the time to go is now.
You know, this time of year is incredible for topwater fishing for smallmouth, and it's some of my favorite ways to catch them. It's action-packed, it's visual. I've seen the fish, they come up and they kind of cartwheel and porpoise out of the water, and a lot of times they'll come down and smash the bait down like that. It's amazing.
That's real attitude and acrobatics. Whether you're fishing a great big lake from your boat or from like where I'm standing right now, I could probably launch a topwater into the Mississippi River and get bit right now from a big smallmouth bass. And the neat thing about river fishing this time of year, you're going to miss all of the holiday crowds because nobody's going to be out there except for you and the bass, and they're biting. And speaking of biting, here's the first of our BuzzBite reporters with the bite from their areas. Hey, we've got another all-star lineup for you this week from our field reporters, and we're going to kick things off with my old buddy, Ken Hutchison from Pierre, South Dakota. Hutch has been guiding for walleyes out there on the Missouri River on Lake Sharp and Oahe ever since I can remember.
Fishing is in full summer mode around Pierre. It's very good both on Sharp and Lake Oahe. The numbers are on Sharp, 40, 50 fish a day are not uncommon, but they're smaller fish, 14 to 17 inch fish. For the most part, 20 feet, night crawlers, spinners, night crawlers, bottom bouncers, gulp works, pulling plugs works. Just about any way you want to catch a walleye on Sharp will get you some fish. Lake Oahe is much better on the overall average size. Here fishing is still, for me, shallow, 10 feet or less. And I've been using little propeller spinners with night crawlers or gulp on bottom bouncers. About anywhere as you go, you're going to catch a lot of fish. It's a good time to come fishing now.
Our next report is from Mike Frisch, talking about how and where to find largemouth bass in the Alexandria area.
You know, the Alexandria Lakes area of western Minnesota has a reputation for being one of the popular Midwest bass fishing destinations. In the summer, it's all about the deep weed line, the 10 to 20 foot depth range where the weed growth stops growing. That's where these largemouth school in the summer. And in the Alexandria area, we've got popular tournament destination hotspots. Lakes like the Lahamadou Chain, Lake Miltona, Lake Minnewaska, Lake Ida are places the tournament guys love. In addition, we've got a lot of smaller lakes with great deep weed line fishing as well. Here's how I like to catch them. I use search and destroy. My search bait is a big crankbait. This is a Salmo 6.5 Hornet. I move down the weed line making rapid fire casts to try to find a school of active bass with my search bait. Once I found some bass, and I've caught some, when the bite slows, I destroy. I go to a jig worm. This is an impulse dipstick rigged on an 1/8 ounce jig head, a great way to slow up and strain the area. As always, good luck on the water, and remember, include a youngster in your next outdoors adventure.
And coming up after this break, more BuzzBite reports as Angling Buzz continues.
Running in rough water can be a pain, literally.
Hey, I never knew how comfortable a ride could be.
Until I added Smooth Moves to my boat. Its 4-spring design with hydraulic shock can smooth even the roughest of rides. With the built-in slide and swivel, you maintain all the function of your existing seat. A turn of the handle, adjust for conditions and passenger weight.
Hey, it's easy to install and built to last.
Smooth Moves, your back will thank you. I know mine does.
Sportfish Michigan is your #1 source for top charter captains and fishing guides in Michigan. Our network of professionals are full-time anglers with years of experience providing customers with the best possible fishing trip services. Fish for trout, salmon, steelhead on Lake Michigan or its famous tributary rivers, the Traverse City area's world-class smallmouth bass, walleye fishing on the Detroit River and Saginaw Bay, or northern Michigan's spectacular ice fishing. We do it all. Sportfish Michigan. Get out. Get bit.
Hey, we're back and hope you had a great 4th of July. And now summer's pretty much in full swing and there's a lot of patterns out there.
Absolutely. Our lakes are now filled with food as the water warms. You see a lot of daily patterns, deep, shallow, and in between. According to the time of day, you often zero in on the bite. For instance, during the middle of the day, If you're fishing deep water walleyes on structure, that's one thing, but at the same time of day, on a sunny day, largemouth bass are probably going to be hiding under a dock somewhere. You'll be pitching under there. So you go by your species, you go by the patterns and the time of day, and that's how you zero in on the bite to catch fish.
And talking about zeroing in on the bite, here's Al Lindner on Mille Lacs Lake.
I'm enjoying a magnificent afternoon out here on Mille Lacs Lake, catching bunches of big walleyes like this. The bite has been so incredible for big fish like this. Yeah, you know, and they're out on the mud. Look at good, nice, healthy fish. The mud bite, if you love lindy rigging with a leech or a night crawler, you got to come up here and cash in on these monsters. They're all over the lake and they're biting like crazy. You get a hot afternoon calm like this, you can have a ball. And you know what? If you don't have a boat, you could get on a launch, catch a bunch of fish. There's many, many good guides all over Mille Lacs that'll get you out on a mud bite. And naturally, if you got your own boat and haven't been out here so far, come on to Mille Lacs. Do the lake, you'll love it.
And now let's move north to Nate Brown up at Lake Winnibigoshish.
We have come to an interesting point in our season where the majority of the fish being caught revolves around finding some of those larger schools of bait fish. The majority of the bait fish will be found in that 14 to 16 foot range, kind of up on top of some of the more major break lines. At times on the 20 to 25 foot, or just following the contours of the break lines, as well as 30 to 32 feet at the bottoms. Locating the bait fish will bring you walleyes, perch, and northerns just in a mix. Everything's feeding, and some of the most effective baits have been using a leech on a lindy rig, pulling crawlers on spinners and bottom bouncers, and just your jig and a minnow. Good luck fishing. Hope to see you out there.
Our next report is from Billy Rosner up on Vermilion in northern Minnesota. He's got a walleye report as well as something for you muskie anglers.
Walleyes, it's pretty much all transition stuff right now. Slip bobbers and leeches and rigs. And it's probably going to transition over to just a half a crawler on a rig. Rip and wraps, those have been working really good off of some of your humps, like the stuff that tops out 10, 15 foot. Throw it out there, just rip it out, and that's a really fun bite if you never tried that. The open water bite for the muskies is still going strong. Heard of multiple fish over 50 inches last week, both trolling and casting those areas. One monster that was 56 plus, just an absolute giant. And with that being said, we should start transitioning here where the muskies are starting to move out onto the rocky reefs and your points. Casting for them should really start getting really good here in July when the water temperatures start to peak.
And now let's head over into Wisconsin where we will join Dale Stroshine, who's going to give us the report on Green Bay walleyes, plus some tips for big smallmouth bass up at Sturgeon Bay.
I'm going to start off with the lower bay of Green Bay, and walleye activity is definitely increasing. Water temperatures right now are in the mid-70s, and as far as areas to look at, maybe College Reef back in University Bay, Point Comfort, Vincent's, the Shark's Fin over on the west shore. These are all great areas to start. As far as lure selections for hard body baits, number 7 or number 5, flicker shads or flicker minnows. Green is my always go-to color. I know crawler harnesses have also been working well for a lot of guys. As far as Sturgeon Bay goes, smallmouth activity has been very good. Paddle tails on a straight retrieve with like a bait rigs LS jig, along with lipless lures, spinner baits, and top water are going to be your best bets. Water depths, 6 to 30 feet of water. These are going to be areas that you want to look at. Offshore structure works well. Remember, long cast, wind-blown shorelines are going to be your best bet. Everybody tight lines and be safe.
Our final report, as Dave says, our man in Michigan, Ben Wolf.
Happy 4th of July from everybody at Sportfish Michigan. We've got a really nice report for you throughout the state of Michigan. For anglers targeting lake trout, vertical jigging and trolling remain the top 2 options. Vertical jigging in the 50 to 70 foot range and trolling in the 70 to 90 foot range as the thermocline really develops seem to be the tickets to getting the most bites. The mayfly hatch is upon us here in the state of Michigan, and down in Lake St. Clair they've had the bulk of their hatch already, but up in northern Michigan we still have the peak to come on many of the waters. Early July is the perfect time for a top water bait whether it's a dry fly imitating the mayfly hatch, or whether it's a walking bait or a popper for bass fishermen, or even a soft plastic jerk bait like a fluke twitched just below the surface. Explosive bites, lots of fun.
Folks, it sounds like we've got fireworks on and off the water this weekend.
Yes, we do. And it's finally nice to see a muskie report coming in as the summer is pretty much in full swing. And coming up after the break, our cool products segment, followed by the technique of the week.
Because boaters know and follow Minnesota's aquatic invasive species laws, 98% of lakes are not known to have any zebra mussels. 95% are not known to have any kind of invasive animals or plants. Let's keep it this way. Clean aquatic plants and animals from boats, trailers, and equipment. Drain all water from watercraft, including the motor, and keep drain plugs out during transport. Dispose of unused bait properly. Together, we're preventing the spread of aquatic invasive species in Minnesota.
My dad was never too busy to take me fishing. It was our special time together. He taught me which lures to use, how to cast, how to land big fish. Some days were better than others. Now that I'm older, I treasure those memories of our time on the water, and am glad that I can make new memories for my kids. Mills Fleet Farm, helping to create outdoor memories since 1955.
And now it's time for our cool products brought to you by Mills Fleet Farm. And we're talking bass, smallmouth and largemouth bass, and that's what these products are all about. I'm going to start over here on the jigs. These are basically 4 different styles of jigs. You can keep it really simple. You have a football head for fishing rocks. You have more of a pointy head like this Terminator Pro jig for fishing around weeds. You have a swim jig. You can put it like a little boot tail like this on the back of it. You can cover some water. You can fish this through weeds, around sticks. And it works, it's very effective for covering a little bit more water. And this is from VMC, it's kind of a hybrid. This has an articulating head, so actually the head of this thing kind of moves. So it has a little different action that the fish haven't seen a whole lot in our lake. So you can put a boot tail or craw on the back of it. It's tough to beat a craw pattern like this. This is from, these are from NetBait. They're pack a craw. These work really good in the back of these Terminator jigs. You can also throw them in the back of your swim jigs. And for colors, there's a lot of people that say you can throw any color as long as it's black and blue. And that's probably a really good point to remember. And over here we have our tubes. Tubes are awesome. You have 2 different styles right here to put them on. An internal weighted. This is good for like Great Lakes. You see a lot of this, fishing fast current, or you're fishing really deep. Having an internal weight jig like this to put the tube over is really effective. If I'm fishing lakes or slack water, small little bodies of water for largemouth or smallmouth, you know, Finesse Half Moon from VMC is really nice. You can play with the colors and the sizes. The fish are going to tell you what they want. Over here, well, I'm sure you know this thing. This is from Rapple. This is a DT4. You got a DT6, a DT10. They go all the way down to a DT20. For depth, this is for covering water, a lot of different colors. You got brighter colors like this, and you have more natural colors. This is nice. I like throwing some of these more natural colors in the clearer water. And for covering water, well, a bladed jig is always a good choice, especially if fish have seen a lot of spinner baits. This is nice to bring this in. There's a lot of lakes that haven't seen these bladed jigs. This is the chatterbait. You can put different trailers in the back of this. You can put a fluke, you can put a boot tail, you can put a craw on the back of it. It's extremely effective. A lot of tournaments have been won on this. And to present these lures to the fish, well, you need a good rod, a good balanced rod. And that's the nice thing at Fleet Farm. They have a lot of combos that take the guesswork out of it. So This is the Black Max from Abu Garcia. 17-pound test, mono or fluoro. You can throw basically anything out here for largemouth spinner baits, chatterbaits, topwater jigs. You can pull them out of the stumps and out of the weeds. This is the Black Max from Abu. Now, once you have the fish hooked and come into the boat, well, smallmouth summertime, they can jump a lot. They can not cooperate as much as a big largemouth can. So having a good net is important. I fish a lot of tournaments, and I do use Ego nets for my tournaments. This is the S2 slider. A cool thing about this is that it extends out to 60 inches. Look at that. It's really nice for storage. It also is 2 pieces. You just twist it like this, and you can just throw it in the compartment. Really easy to use, very comfortable. And then the nice hoop design. This is perfect right here for catching bass. All these products and more are available at your local Mills Fleet Farm store. You can also check them out online at fleetfarm.com. And coming up next is our technique of the week and one of the most deadly presentations in bass fishing, stick baits. Most stick baits are heavier or more dense by design, often achieved by the addition of salt impregnated within the bait. This allows you to fish them in shallower water without any added weight other than the hook. The most common method is the simple wacky style. It has a very slow fall, a subtle vibration, and a unique inchworm effect as it's pulled through the water. The addition of a rubber ring can add to the longevity of the worm, or it can be rigged unweighted, Texas style. For deeper applications, you could add a finishing nail or bait weight in the tail of the worm. Texas rigged or wacky style, the tail weight produces a unique action few bass have seen. Or you can simply add a bullet sinker to the head of the worm for the classic Texas rig. 4-inch models work on drop shot rigs for finesse fishing. Larger 5 or 6-inch models work well on Carolina rigs for deep water ledge fishing. They're also effective on shaky heads or mushroom style jigs. Now you can see why it's the most popular soft bait to date. It's simply a very versatile soft bait profile that can be applied to a wide range of bass fishing situations.
Boy, if there is a magic bait for any condition, tell you what, these stick baits, cigar baits just like this, that's the ticket.
You know, Troy, the first time I saw a stickworm in use hooked through the middle, fluttering down like that, I thought, this is just wrong. This is silly. No self-respecting bass is going to hit that. And as it turns out, it's one of the most popular worm riggings in America.
It just catches fish, period.
And you can't go wrong with that. Hey, we're out of time for today. I'm Dave Sanda.
And I'm Troy Lindner. And be sure to stop by your local Mills Fleet Farm store. Have you entered our contest? You can spend a fabulous weekend at Madden's Resort and go fishing with us in the beautiful Brainerd Lakes area.
Next week on Angling Buzz, we're talking modern musky fishing. And in the meantime, be sure to check us out on the web at AnglingBuzz.com, see what our BuzzBite reporters in the field have to say, and as I always like to say, they're going to help you put more and bigger fish in the boat in the weeks ahead. Good luck, everybody.
Have fun. We'll see you next week.